Welcome back to the Self-Care Zone podcast. My name is Brett, and if you've been following along this series, you know we spent the last few episodes diagnosing a problem. We've talked about the financial anxiety epidemic, the collapse of financial hope, and the disconnect between traditional benefits and what employees actually need. We've established that financial stress is the dominant issue affecting Australian workplaces right now. We've seen why meditation apps and retirement seminars don't help people that can't afford rent. Today, we're moving from problem to solution. This episode is called What Actually Helps: Redefining Financial Wellness Support. I want to be really clear about something upfront. This isn't theoretical. We're not talking about what would be nice in an ideal world. We're talking about what organizations are actually doing right now that's making a real difference for employees experiencing financial pressure. There are practical, achievable interventions. Some cost money, but some don't. Some are big systemic changes. Some are small adjustments. But all of them address actual needs rather than pretending financial stress doesn't exist. So let's dive into what comprehensive financial wellbeing support actually looks like. Before we get into specific examples, I need to establish a framework for thinking about financial wellness support, because not all support is created equal. There's a critical distinction that organizations often miss: the difference between financial education and financial relief. Financial education is about building knowledge and skills: how to budget, how to save, how to invest, how to understand super, how to plan for retirement. This stuff matters. For people who have stable income and some buffer, financial education can be genuinely helpful. But financial education doesn't help someone who's in immediate crisis. If you don't have enough money to cover your expenses, knowing how to budget doesn't solve the problem. You can't budget your way out of insufficient income. Financial relief is about addressing the actual shortfall. It's about increasing income, reducing essential costs, and providing emergency support when crisis hits. Organizations that get this right provide both: education for the long term, relief for the immediate crisis. But they don't pretend that education alone is enough. And here's what's important: they don't lead with education when people need relief. They don't tell struggling employees to attend a budgeting workshop when what they need is help paying their rent for this month. Similarly, comprehensive financial wellness support includes both immediate intervention and long-term planning. Both matter, but the immediate needs have to be addressed first. Immediate support includes things like emergency funds, salary advances, hardship provisions, crisis counselling, and connecting people with community resources. Long-term planning includes fair wages, transparent career progression, retirement planning, and building financial literacy. You need both, but Maslow's hierarchy applies here. You can't focus on long-term financial security when you're in immediate crisis. The organizations doing this well understand this. They provide the life jacket first, and then they teach the swimming lesson later. All right, let's get into some practical stuff. What are organizations actually doing that works? Some organizations have established financial hardship funds that employees can access when they hit that financial crisis. Here's how it works well. There's a fund that could be $50,000, $100,000, whatever the organization can afford. Employees facing genuine financial emergencies can apply for assistance. This might be a grant that they don't have to repay or a no-interest loan. Here are the key elements that make this work. Easy application process. Not jumping through hoops, not excessive documentation, not having to expose your entire financial situation to multiple people. Quick turnaround. When someone's facing eviction or having their utilities disconnected, they need help now, not in 3 weeks. No stigma. It's presented as a normal support mechanism, not charity. The way that sick leave is normal. Financial emergency support should be normal. Clear criteria about what qualifies. Usually things like unexpected medical expenses, urgent home or vehicle repairs needed for work, escaping domestic violence, natural disaster impacts, or genuine financial hardship affecting abilities to work. Privacy is protected. The decision makers are a small group, not broadcasting who's accessing support. One organisation that I know of processes applications within 48 hours and has helped employees avoid eviction, keep essential vehicles running, and manage unexpected medical costs. The fund isn't huge, but it's made enormous differences to the individuals in crisis. And here's the thing, it's not a massive cost. Most employees never need it, but knowing it exists provides psychological safety, and for those that need it, it can be literally life-changing. Another approach that some organisations are taking is offering salary advances or more flexible pay arrangements. Traditional pay cycles are fortnightly or monthly, but when you're living paycheck to paycheck, sometimes you need access to your money you've already earned before your regular payday. Some organisations are implementing systems where employees can access a portion of their earned wages before payday. This isn't a loan. They've literally already worked those hours. It's just accessing their pay early. This helps with things like unexpected bills that hit between paydays or timing mismatches where rent is due 3 days before pay comes through. The technology exists to do this relatively easy now, and for employees under financial pressure, it can prevent them from turning to payday loans with predatory interest rates. There are also organisations offering actual salary advances as interest-free loans repaid over several pay periods. Again, this prevents employees from accessing high interest credit when emergencies hit. We talked last episode about retirement planning seminars being tone deaf when people can't afford groceries. But there is a type of financial support that helps. Proper financial counselling that's focused on crisis management. This is not wealth building advice. This is support with negotiating with creditors, understanding your rights and options in debt, accessing hardship provisions from utilities or from lenders, navigating Centrelink and community support, managing immediate crisis or protecting credit rating, and creating realistic plans to stabilise situations. Some organisations offer this through their EAP service. Others partner with community financial counselling services. The best ones make it easily accessible and actively promote it so that employees know that it exists. And they make it clear it's not about judgment or fixing people's poor financial decisions. It's about providing expert support when systems are complicated and people are overwhelmed. Housing costs are the biggest financial stressor for most employees. So some organisations are getting creative about providing support here. Some are offering relocation assistance for employees moving for work, covering the actual costs of moving and helping with rental bonds. Some provide rental guarantees, acting as guarantor for their employees who can't access rental properties because they don't have someone to guarantee their lease. A few organisations have established rental subsidies for employees in particularly expensive housing markets, providing a set amount per month to help with accommodation costs. There are even some organisations exploring shared housing arrangements or head leasing properties to provide secure, affordable housing for employees. One organisation I heard about purchased several properties and rents them to their employees below market rates. Employees get secure, affordable housing. The organisation gets reliable tenants and the properties as assets. It's creative thinking that addresses a major pain point. And some are offering first home buyer support, not just information, but actual financial assistance with deposits through low interest loans or grants. Are these common? No. Are they achievable for most organisations? Well, it depends on the size and resources, but they're examples of organisations acknowledging that housing affordability is a crisis and taking a tangible action within their sphere of influence. Some organisations have moved away from traditional annual review processes to automatic cost of living adjustments. Instead of wages being static and employees having to fight for their raises, salaries are automatically adjusted annually based on CPI or other inflation measures. This doesn't mean no performance-based increases. Those happen separately, but it means that baseline wages keep pace with the actual cost of living automatically. This approach acknowledges that inflation isn't an employee problem to absorb. If costs are going up, wages need to rise accordingly just to maintain the same standard of living. It also removes the stress and awkwardness of annual negotiations where employees have to justify why they deserve to maintain their purchasing power. We've talked about flexibility before, but it's worth emphasizing how some organizations are implementing this specifically to reduce financial pressure. Work from home isn't just about convenience. It saves employees significant money on transport, parking, professional clothing, and often food costs. For someone spending $50 to $100 a week on commuting, that's $2,500 to $5,000 per year in savings. Flexible hours allow people to manage childcare more affordably, work around family responsibilities, or hold second jobs if needed without burning out completely. Compressed work weeks, like 4 longer days instead of 5 standard days. This reduced commuting costs and childcare needs. School hours arrangements for parents mean they're not paying for before and after school care. You can save thousands annually. These flexibility arrangements don't cost the organisation money. They're about acknowledging that time flexibility has direct financial impact for employees. Childcare costs are crushing for many working families, so organisations are providing targeted support. On-site or subsidised childcare is the gold standard, but obviously not achievable for most organisations. But there are other options. Childcare subsidies, where the organisation tops up the government support. Backup childcare arrangements for when regular care falls through. School holiday programs or partnerships with childcare centres to secure places and negotiated rates for employees. Paid parental leave beyond government minimum also has enormous financial impact, allowing parents to take adequate time without destroying their finances. Return to work support, including phased returns, gradual increase in hours, and ongoing flexibility helps parents manage the transition without having to choose between career and affordability. Now, some of what I've described requires significant investment, and not every organisation can offer housing support or on-site childcare. But there are some low-cost or no-cost interventions that make a real difference. So let's talk about those. Pay transparency and progression. One of the simplest and most impactful things organizations can do is create transparent pathways for pay increases. When employees can see actually what they need to do to progress to the next level, how long that typically takes, and what the increases look like, that provides hope and motivation. When pay is opaque and increases seem arbitrary or dependent on negotiating well, that creates anxiety and disadvantages people who are already marginalized or uncomfortable advocating for themselves. Publishing salary bands for roles, clear performance criteria for increases, and typical timelines cost nothing but transparency. And it makes a massive difference to how employees plan and whether they feel financial progress is possible. Some organizations inadvertently create financial barriers that stress employees. Things like requiring employees to pay for things upfront and claim reimbursement later when they don't have the cash flow for that. Mandatory attendance at events that cost money, travel, accommodation, meals. Uniform or equipment requirements with insufficient provision. Expectations around professional development that employees fund themselves. Simply identifying and removing these barriers doesn't cost money. It just requires thinking about whether you're expecting employees to subsidize their employment. Providing corporate cards for business expenses, catering events properly, supplying necessary equipment, funding required professional development. These things ensure that work doesn't cost employees money that they don't have. Now, there's something that is really important to organizations, and most of them overlook: training their managers. This might look like recognizing signs of financial stress, have supportive conversations without judgment, know what support is available and how to connect employees with it, understand how workload and scheduling affects employees' financial situation, or creating psychological safety around discussing financial pressure. This doesn't cost huge amounts, but it changes how financial stress is handled at the level where most employees experience work, with their direct manager. A manager who notices that an employee seems stressed and proactively asks, "Is everything okay? Is there anything that work can do to support you?" That matters enormously. A manager who understands that asking someone to work late with no notice might mean childcare costs that they can't afford. That awareness prevents problems. A manager who knows about hardship funds and financial counselling services can quietly point employees in that direction. That's invaluable. Some organizations have established peer support networks specifically around financial wellness. These might be informal groups where employees can share resources, tips, and support, or more structured programs with trained peer supporters who can provide initial support and signposting. The value is in reducing isolation and stigma. When people realize others are struggling too, the shame reduces. When people can share information about community resources, government support, or negotiating strategies, everyone benefits. And peer support costs virtually nothing beyond creating the space and structure for it to happen. Organizations make lots of regular decisions that affect employee finances. Taking time to review these through a financial impact lens can identify opportunities. How often do pay rises happen? Can you move from annual to 6 monthly reviews? When you do team events, who's bearing the cost? Could events be during work hours, on-site, fully catered? What notice do you give for schedule changes? Short notice might mean childcare costs that employees just can't manage. How do you handle overtime and penalty rates? Are you respecting entitlements? or finding ways around them? When you hire, are you offering secure employment or defaulting to casual contracts? All of these decisions have financial impacts on employees. Reviewing them costs nothing but attention and potentially changing the culture from one that creates financial stress to one that alleviates it. Now, I know what some leaders might be thinking. That all sounds good, but what's in it for the organization? Why should we invest in financial wellness? So let's talk ROI, because the business case is strong. Retention is the most obvious return. Employees experiencing financial stress are significantly more likely to leave for even small pay increases elsewhere. The cost of replacing an employee is 50 to 200% of their salary. If financial wellness support reduces turnover by even a small percentage, it pays for itself quickly. And the organizations that provide genuine support create loyalty that's hard to buy. Productivity improvements are measurable. Financially stressed employees lose an average of 11 hours per month to financial worry and related tasks. They're distracted, making mistakes, and unable to focus properly. When organizations provide support that reduces financial stress, productivity improves. People can actually focus on work. The mental bandwidth previously consumed by financial anxiety becomes available for their actual jobs. Reduced absenteeism is another return. Financial stress makes people sick physically and mentally. It increases sick leave. It also creates situations where people have to take time off to deal with financial crisis. When organizations help employees manage financial stress and access support, sick leave usage decreases. People are healthier and have fewer financial crises requiring work absence. Reduced presenteeism matters too. We've talked about people being physically present but mentally absent. Financial wellness support helps people actually be present, not just showing up. Recruitment advantages are significant. Organizations known for supporting employees' financial well-being attract better candidates. In competitive markets, this is a differentiator. Engagement improvements happen when employees feel genuinely supported. People who believe that their employer cares about their well-being work harder, care more, and stay longer. Reduced costs in other areas matter too. Less turnover means less recruitment expenses, fewer accidents from distracted, stressed workers, less theft or fraud from desperate employees, lower health insurance premiums. Reputational benefits are valuable. Organizations known for treating employees well attract customers, clients, and partners who value ethics. The research on this is clear. Comprehensive financial wellness programs typically return $3 to $6 for every $1 invested. Sometimes it's more. This isn't charity, it's smart business. Let me share some real examples of how this plays out. One organization established a $100,000 hardship fund. In the first year, 12 employees accessed it, receiving grants of between $1,000 and $5,000. Total distribution, $38,000. That same year, their retention improved by 8%. With 200 employees, an average replacement cost of $15,000, avoiding even 4 to 5 additional resignations saved them $60,000 to $75,000. The fund basically paid for itself immediately. But the broader impact was that the employees' engagement scores improved significantly. People felt cared for. The organization's reputation as an employer strengthened. and employees who'd never needed the fund still valued knowing that it existed. Another organisation implemented automatic cost of living adjustments. This added 3% to their annual payroll costs, but turnover dropped by 12%. The retention alone more than covered the wage increases, and productivity improved because people weren't constantly stressed about falling behind financially. A third organisation partnered with a financial counselling service, making it easy for employees to access confidential support. The cost was $15,000 annually. In the first year, 28 employees used that service. One employee was helped to avoid bankruptcy and stay in their home. Another negotiated payment plans that prevented defaults. Several accessed government support they didn't know existed. The organisation didn't lose a single employee that year to financial stress. Productivity in the teams where employees had access to support increased measurably, and the feedback in engagement surveys was overwhelmingly positive. These aren't special organisations with unlimited budgets. They're normal workplaces that decided to invest in financial wellness and saw clear returns. So we've covered what works. Now let's talk about how to actually implement this. Not every organisation can do everything that I've described, but every organisation can do something. Start by assessing need. Anonymous surveys asking employees about financial stresses, what would help, and what barriers they face. You need to understand what your workforce's actual situation. You need to understand your workforce's actual situation. Audit what you already do. Do you have an EAP service that include financial counselling, hardship provisions in policies, reimbursement systems that need fixing? Sometimes you have resources, you're just not using them effectively. Identify quick wins. What can you change immediately that costs nothing or little? Pay transparency, removing financial barriers, manager awareness training. Start there. Build the business case for bigger investments. If you want to establish hardship funds or change pay structures, you'll need to show ROI. Use the data about turnover costs, productivity impacts, and the benefits of retention. Start small and scale. You don't need to implement everything at once. Maybe you start with better access to salary advances and then add financial counselling. Then look at wages and cost of living adjustments. Build progressively. Measure and communicate impact. Track what you're implementing and what changes. Are fewer people leaving? Is engagement improving? Are sick leave patterns changing? Tell employees what you're doing and why. Keep listening and adjusting. Employee needs change. Economic conditions change. Financial wellness support needs to evolve continuously. Financial wellness support works best when it's part of an organizational culture, not just policies and programs. That means leadership modeling, talking openly about the importance of financial well-being, not just productivity. Normalizing the conversation, making it okay to discuss financial pressure without the shame. Removing stigma, treating financial stress support the same way that you treat sick leave or any other normal supports. Building manager capability, ensuring everyone in leadership can have supportive conversations. Embedding in decision-making, considering financial impact on employees in all organisational decisions, communicating consistently, not just announcing programs, but regularly reminding people they exist and how to access them. Culture change takes time, but it's what makes the difference between programs that sit unused and support that actually helps. Many organisations want to do this well, but aren't sure how. That's where expert support comes in. Through the Self-Care Zone, I work with organisations to develop and implement comprehensive financial wellness support that matches their workforce needs and organisational capacity. This includes assessment needs, understanding what your employees are actually experiencing through surveys, focus groups, and data analysis. Strategy development, creating a financial wellness strategy that's appropriate for your organisation, industry, and workforce. Policy development, establishing hardship funds, salary advance provisions, housing support, and other mechanisms. Manager training, building capacity across leadership to recognise and respond to financial stress. Employee workshops, providing financial crisis support, connecting with resources, managing financial pressure. Implementation support, helping you actually roll out initiatives effectively. And evaluation and adjustment, measure impact and refining approaches over time. Because comprehensive financial wellness support is not one size fits all. It needs to match your specific context, and it needs expert guidance to implement this well. If your organisation is ready to move beyond meditation apps and retirement seminars to support that actually addresses financial pressure, let's have a chat. Send me an email to info@theselfcarezone.com or visit theselfcarezone.com. And the details will be in the show notes as well. If you're listening as an employee wondering what to do with this information, here's what I'd suggest. If your organisation does employee surveys or feedback processes, use them. Be specific about what you need. Financial counselling services, or emergency hardship fund, or cost of living wage adjustments. Name concrete things. If you have a good relationship with your manager, you might raise that financial stress is affecting team members, not necessarily yourself if you're not comfortable, but ask what support is available. If your organisation has an EAP, find out if financial counselling is included. Many employees don't even realise that this resource exists. Look for whether peer support or informal networks exist where financial information and resources get shared. And if your organisation provides nothing and won't respond to feedback, that's information about whether this is a place where you can thrive long term. You deserve better. Financial stress is affecting the majority of Australian employees. The old approaches of retirement planning and gym memberships don't address this, but comprehensive financial wellness support, the kind that provides both immediate relief and long-term planning, that addresses actual needs rather than pretending that they don't exist. That works. It improves retention, productivity, engagement, and culture. It has strong ROI. And most importantly, it helps real people manage real crises. The organisations that get this right will have enormous competitive advantages. The ones that continue pretending financial stress isn't their problem will continue losing people and money. The choice is clear. So that's where we're going to leave it today. What actually helps when employees are experiencing financial pressure? Practical, achievable, ROI positive approaches. If this episode has resonated with you, share it with the leaders and HR professionals who are trying to figure out how to genuinely support their workforce. We've reached the end of this series on financial anxiety in the workplace. Over 5 episodes, we've covered the epidemic, the hope collapse, why traditional benefits miss the mark, and what actually helps. My hope is this series has shifted how you think about financial stress, why it matters, and what organisations can do about it. Take care of yourselves and each other. And if you're in a position to make change, please do.